Well, good morning to everyone. Firstly, let me congratulate Henry and William and everyone else involved in publishing this important book. And let me just say how proud I am to be among the contributors to the book. And thank you for this opportunity to say a few words tonight. My essay in the book focuses on how trade with China benefits the United States, particularly how doing business in China supports American jobs. There's a common misconception that US companies' expansion of trade with an investment in China has led to fewer American jobs. Many in the United States, including some lawmakers, believe this to be true. In reality, cultivating a strong trade relationship with China has actually boosted the American economy and employment. In the most recent year of full data available to us, US exports to China alone supported nearly 1 million American jobs directly. Indirectly, probably about 3 or 4 million. For the US-China Business Council members, 95% of our companies report profitability for their investments in China, which means more dividends repaid to shareholders in the United States, greater cash flow and capital to reinvest in businesses, of course, including R&D functions in the United States, then it means competing in one of the world's most competitive and dynamic markets. I will argue that if an American company cannot be a leader in China, they cannot be a global leader. All of that strengthens American companies and makes us more competitive globally. Globally competitive companies mean greater strength at home. With this in mind, let's take a look at how the trade war impacted American jobs. Multiple studies and anecdotal evidence confirm that Americans paid the price for tariffs on imported Chinese products. A report that the US-China Business Council commissioned from Oxford Economics found that 245,000 American jobs were lost at the height of the trade war. Keep in mind that was before COVID-19 shocked the global economy. So let me be clear. Chinese industrial policy and trade practices pose serious problems for US and European and Japanese and other companies, indeed, for the global system as coordinated by the WTO. And USCBC works to address these problems, but we must be honest about the impacts of the tariffs and escalating tensions between the United States and China, and the loss in employment and American corporate competitiveness. If we fast forward to today, the future of US-China engagement under the Phase 1 agreement is very unclear. Tariffs remain at a near all-time high, and bilateral relations are in a tenuous state. The United States recently released its Indo-Pacific strategy with a regional economic framework to follow. But it's unclear what this framework will entail, and most certainly it does not include a active or a constructive or a positive engagement with China. At this juncture, therefore, I'd like to make 3 recommendations for transitions for the US-China relationships drawn from my essay. The first is that the United States and China really should reestablish a formal mechanism to discuss macroeconomic and trade issues. While I was pleased to read in USTR's recent report to Congress that it continues to engage with China on the Phase 1 agreement and outstanding trade issues, a more comprehensive, regular, and transparent set of communications is sorely needed. And at least this would allow both sides to better understand the priorities and concerns and decisions of the other. Talking is better than not talking. And without it, both countries appear to assume the worst of the other. And when it comes to trade specifically, perhaps the two sides could use a CPTPP as a framework or an agenda for the negotiations. Second, the United States and China should both move to reduce or completely eliminate tariffs. We know that the tariffs are unpopular in both countries, and that the full removal of tariffs would really create economic opportunity in both countries. Our research shows that reducing average tariff rates to 12% could create up to 145,000 American jobs, and that full removal would create yet more. I have to admit, it would be difficult for President Biden in an election year to reduce tariffs without some form of commensurate move on the Chinese side. This is especially true given the Chinese side's inability or unwillingness to fully meet the phase one purchase obligations. But we need to address the tariffs. There is a danger that they could become permanent, and that would be unacceptable. Third, we need clear signals from both governments that trade and investment and people-to-people engagement that does not impact national security is welcome and encouraged by both governments. As I'm sure you know, the vast majority of interactions between our two countries are mutually beneficial for all sides, promoting prosperity and innovation and human progress. I worry that an overemphasis on national security and an expansion of the definitions of national security will have a chilling effect on the very positive parts of the bilateral relationship. That is not to say that there are not real problems with national security. I would like to note that we are looking forward to progress in China's industrial policies, in domestic content preferences, to the prioritization of self-sufficiency over reliance on global trade as defined by the WTO. We look forward to further clarifications on data security and the privacy regime that currently threatens to segregate China's data ecosystem from the rest of the world. And we hope that there will be some way to address standards setting that appears to discriminate against foreign countries. We hope that discriminatory treatment against imported products and even joint venture products in China will be addressed. And we hope that a level playing field for both imported products and for FIEs in China will ultimately prevail in China. It is in China's interest to create a level playing field, and there is certainly a lot of work to be done. So let me just summarize and say, as I look to transitions, there are three transitions that I would love to see. And the first one is the resumption of a bilateral dialogue between China and the United States. The second transition I would like to see is a pathway forward to getting rid of the tariffs, or at least reducing them enormously. A third transition I would like to see is not using national security as an excuse for protectionism, and a direct addressing in a positive manner of the residual market access issues that all foreign companies face in China. And with that hope for these three transitions, let me say again, thank you very much.